Hey, come smell on my face.
No.
Come smell of it and see if it smelled like it did when I was in high school. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new to my channel, this is how I do my makeup every day. Just kidding, this is officially my how I did my makeup in high school tag video, whatever you want to call it. I have really been enjoying these videos. It's always fun to see, you know, what the trends were basically back in the day when other people were in high school, even people who went to high school before me, after me. It's just been fun flat out watching these videos. So we're going to take it back to basically years 2006 until 2011. 2006, I can't remember if I started high school in 2006 or 2007. It was one of those years, but this makeup that I am wearing today would have been a daily makeup look for me, okay? This did not change. I did my makeup the same pretty much every single day, and if it was for a special event, I would just make the eyes a little darker. So yeah, it was pretty easy for me to remember everything that I used because it never changed. It stayed like this. Before we get started, I want to give you guys a little bit of background info on how I did my makeup in high school and what my makeup journey was like. So I did not start wearing makeup until I was in the 8th grade, and I was actually totally against it. I did not want to wear makeup for anything. And just one day randomly, my mom and I were in Walmart, and she was getting mascara or something in the makeup section, and I saw these L'Oreal Hip Intense pigments, and if you remember those are basically like drugstore versions of MAC pigments. And I just remember thinking they looked really cool, and maybe like I could transform myself with an eyeshadow pigment. And I remember asking my mom if I could get one, and she was like, yeah, get whatever you want, because I think she was just glad I was finally, you know, like asking to wear makeup. So I picked out the most hideous color possible. I picked out a chartreuse green color, and that is what I wore basically from, it may have been 7th grade when I started wearing. I feel like maybe 7th through 8th grade I just wore chartreuse green eyeliner or chartreuse green eyeshadow, and then at some point I eventually started wearing a little bit of eyeliner, but I didn't wear face makeup. And so when I started high school in the 9th grade, a lot of my friends were wearing foundation and powders and things like that, and so of course I wanted to. And my mom really wanted me to wear Bare Minerals. She has worn Bare Minerals ever since it came out, and she wanted me to just wear stuff that was good for my face. But that was not cool to me to wear the same makeup as my mom, and I did not want to do that. I wanted to wear what my friends were wearing, which was basically CoverGirl, Maybelline, whatever we could find at the dollar store or the Walmart. So my mom wanted me to let you guys know. She tried to get me to wear, you know, stuff that was good for my face. I just wasn't having it. So where I grew up at, basically we had a Dollar General in our town, and then if you wanted to go to Walmart, you had to drive about 25 minutes outside of our area. So like 90% of my makeup came from the Dollar General. Dollar General had 3 foundations at the time you could pick from: CoverGirl Clean Makeup, CoverGirl Smoothers, and L'Oreal True Match. I alternated between all 3 of those, and the Dollar General is just where I would get my makeup from. That's what we had, and that's what everyone wore, and that's just how it went. I mean, the nearest Sephora was 2 hours away. I did not even know what Sephora was when I was in high school. I didn't know what Ulta was. I did not discover any of that until I was in college. So I only wore drugstore makeup when I was in high school. And so basically it was Dollar General. If we were at Walmart, you know, I might have picked up a few like different things that I might normally not have worn, but mainly it was repurchases at the DG. So let's just stop rambling and let's have some fun and see how I did my makeup. At this point, it's 2006, 2007. I could barely apply foundation. What is foundation primer? Never heard of it. So now into the fun part, foundations. I had 3 Holy Grail foundations. They were CoverGirl Clean, which is what I'm going to demo in today's video, CoverGirl Smoothers collection, and if I wanted to get a little fancy, L'Oreal True Match. So let's just go ahead and open this bad boy up. I'm going to get this over with because this smells like cinnamon death to me. This legitimately smells like cinnamon mixed with Noxzema. I have no clue how I wore this. And this is not a foundation to where the scent fades. It stays with you all day. So I don't know how I did it. Not sure how I did this. If you wear this foundation, how? The smell is just, disgusting. So what I would do is I would take a little, applicator that I would just find in probably one of my powders, one of my CoverGirl Smoother Cream Compacts, and I would literally just pour the foundation on straight onto the pad and just start smearing it all over. No patting, smearing. So we did the smearing techniques. If you're wondering about the shade of this foundation, it's 125 Buff Beige. Something I was very terrible at in high school was matching my foundation shade, and it didn't help that the dollar store only carried like 3 colors of foundation. So I was very tan in high school. I was a religious tanning bed user. I went every day for 20 minutes. I was completely addicted, okay? And I was probably equivalent to like an NC40 in MAC if we're just comparing right now to how dark I was probably maybe even a little darker, maybe even like an NC42 in MAC. So CoverGirl generally runs pretty pink. They did not have the color options like they do now. Back then there was pretty much just like a pink and neutral undertone. So not only did my face look pink most of the time, I never bought shades that were dark enough. So you know how there's always that cliche that high school girls have like the orange line going on? I always had a pale line going on. I never would buy foundation that was dark enough, and I have no clue why. I just wouldn't. So a little background on the foundation info, that's how it went for me. Next up, the matching CoverGirl Clean powder. I always made sure I had this. Again, holy grail. I'm not sure if I even used another powder other than this, and in my opinion now, looking back, this is one of the worst powders at the drugstore. It is so chalky. It never looks flattering. I mean, I'm speaking in terms of on me. It never looked good, but I thought cake was the game back in the day. So what I would do is, again, take the puff and I would just press it on, get as cake status as I possibly could, and I was just feeling fly after that. I mean, after the CoverGirl Clean powder was pressed into the skin, I was feeling myself. So, next up is probably blush. I didn't really wear a lot of bronzer, but I do have one that I'm going to use in today's video. But for blush, I always bought those really big tubs of CoverGirl loose mineral blushes. They don't make them anymore. I couldn't find them at Walmart or Walgreens, but they still make the bronzers, and I actually still use the bronzers. I like the bronzers. You guys have probably seen me use these in a couple of videos, but just for reference, I would buy this exact same thing only in the blush form, and they used to make like 3 different colors of the blushes, and these would last me forever. I used to buy this really pale pink color that barely showed up on my tan skin. Don't ask me why. But I do also recall using these CoverGirl cheekers. These were like probably, I think still today, probably one of the cheapest blushes other than e.l.f. that you can find at the drugstore. And these aren't too bad. This one is called Sierra Sands. And I would always use this e.l.f. brush for everything. I would use this for blush, bronzer, touching up powder. This was like my go-to e.l.f. brush. It's from, you know, their Essential collection that was like $1. But I'm not going to use that with this blush today because I have a feeling it's not going to show up. So I'm just going to use a regular blush brush. I didn't really wear a ton of bronzer or blush. I don't know, it just wasn't something. All I cared about was that everything was covered on my face. And as long as that was happening, I didn't care about anything else. For bronzer, I had a single bronzer by e.l.f. I remember, but I couldn't find that anywhere online or at the drugstore, so I just have the e.l.f. Blush Bronzer Duo, and it was a similar color to what comes in this. And again, I would take that big e.l.f. brush, and to me, bronzer was just everywhere. So I would just take it and just kind of like throw it all over my face. There was no contouring going on back in the day. It was just kind of like, give my skin a little bit of color, but still not enough to where it matches my skin tone, because I was always paler in my pictures. And I will be inserting photos so you guys can see what I'm talking about. But yeah, bronzer was just like, throw it on and you're done. This foundation does a damn good job of oxidizing. Hey, come smell my face.
No.
Come smell of it and see if it smelled like it did when I was in high school.
Are you serious?
Yeah. Do you remember my foundation smelling bad?
No.
You don't?
Why would I know that?
Because it did. Smell.
It smells weird.
What does it smell like?
Sunscreen.
Sunscreen. Does it smell like a spice to you?
I don't know. This is weird.
It smells like cinnamon and Noxzema to me.
I don't know what that is.
Cinnamon mixed with Noxzema. For eyebrows, I have to just stop and first give an ode to my high school eyebrows. I would purposely shave my eyebrows in high school to look like little caterpillars. I would shave the arch off of both of my brows and then draw them on like a frowny face, basically. So I would use a Wet n Wild 99-cent brown eyeliner to do that also. It didn't have an eyebrow pencil. I forgot to pick one of those up, so I'm just going to use a regular brow pencil, and I'm going to show you guys basically how I would fill in my eyebrows. So keep in mind the arch was gone, but I would still draw a very rounded shape. Even though I shaved the arch off, I would still go back in and make it look rounded. So I would shave my arch off and then basically draw it back on super rounded, and then make my tail on my brow really long. So kind of like what I got going on here. It's going to be very hard to mimic how I did my eyebrows, because honestly I don't know what type of level they were on. It was just a whole different terrible level I never want to reach again. Alright, so I think that's the best I can do for my brows. You can tell from the photos they looked 10 times worse than this, but we're going to move on to the fun part. This was my favorite part of doing my makeup, and it was my eyeshadow. So I had this e.l.f. eyeshadow booklet. It was pretty big. It was about this big, and I guess it would be equivalent to like the first Urban Decay Naked palette. It had blacks, browns, bronzy colors in it, but I really only wore silver. Silver and black were my go-tos in high school, okay? If I did my makeup, it was silver and black. If I did my friend's makeup, it was silver and black. Daily makeup, silver. Might have excluded the black, waited till the nighttime to apply it. But silver and black. So, e.l.f. does not make that palette anymore, but I did find this Wet n Wild eyeshadow quad, or is this a quad? This 5-pan eyeshadow palette from Wet n Wild, and pretty much these two silver shades, yeah, that was my jam. So I didn't really use a lot of eye brushes. I have one e.l.f. brush that I'm going to show you guys that I specifically remember using, but I would take the darker silver first on my finger and basically just rub it all over the lower portion of my lid. And I'm not gonna lie, I was pretty decent at blending with my finger. I mean, given the tools I had to work with, the finger, it worked out decently, let's just say that. So I would just take this and I would pack it. I would like go back in 3 or 4 times and just keep packing the color on till it was just almost flaking off my eye. I have no clue why I did that, but I just thought the more I packed on, the longer it was going to last. Yeah, speaking of eyelid primer, again, non-existent. I mean, I had no clue what that was. So now, to spice it up even more, I would use a light silver like this on my brow bone, or almost up to my brow bone. I remember I didn't take it like all the way up, but it was almost all the way up. So right over that gray, that first gray color we applied first, I would just take the light silver and apply it almost all the way up. Yeah. This is bringing back vibes. This is exactly how I did my makeup. Wow. Can't believe I remember this. So this was my daytime look. However, if we were going out, you know, going to the football game, going to ride around town, because we had nothing where I grew up. You literally drove around town or went to a football game. So if that were the case, maybe prom, maybe a dance, I would take a black on the infamous e.l.f. crease brush. This was one of the first like crease brushes I ever remember owning. And what I would do is just pick up a little bit of that black and I would just start smudging it on the outer part of my eye. I really, thank God, didn't like take it into my crease too much. It was just like this outer portion. I would really focus it and get it pretty dark. So yeah, I would just take a little bit of black and deepen this baby up. If there's one thing I was a little proud about in high school, that was my winged eyeliner status. I'm not gonna lie, I did slay the winged eyeliner game. I was pretty good at that. My scene days taught me a lot about winged eyeliner, and I could make it pretty sharp. It was pretty sharp, and I also used the brush that came in with gel eyeliners. So I used the Maybelline Eye Studio gel liner, but my Walmart was out of that, so I just got the L'Oreal one. I remember using both, but Maybelline was always cheaper, so that's the one I normally went with. And I just applied it, like I said, with the brush that it came with. And actually, this is not how I would do it. I would pull my eye, and I know some people are going to cringe. Some people are going to have a fit, but this is how I would do it. I would pull my eye, and honestly, I feel like I'm probably not even going to be able to do it as good as how I did in high school. I could literally just sweep across and I'd be done, but I'm not that skilled now, I guess. So my 16-year-old self would probably be ashamed at how I just did my winged eyeliner, but I tried my best. The brush is not the best to work with, but somehow I made it work back in the day. Moving on, I would take next a black eyeliner and make sure to line the inner rim of my eye. I would not put this on the outer rim of my eye. As a matter of fact, I wouldn't put anything else on my eyes. I would just line the inner rim, and that was it. Time to move on to mascara. For mascara, my favorite was the purple tube of the Maybelline Falsies, but I already had a drugstore mascara on hand, so I didn't really see the point in purchasing another one. But purple Maybelline Falsies, that is totally what I went for. And I honestly didn't apply a lot of mascara. I know a lot of girls like love to pile on mascara in high school. I literally did like one coat like this on top and bottom, and I was pretty much done. So that's all I would do for that. For the final part, I never wore color on my lips. I never wore lipstick. I never wore lip liner. I did not like the look of color on my lips. Very strange, but I would use the Bath & Body Works lip gloss tubes. That's just always what I liked. They generally didn't have color to them. They smelled good, and that's what I wore. Unfortunately, Bath & Body Works doesn't make those anymore. They only carry the C.O. Bigelow tubes. That's not what I would wear. So I found these L'Oreal Color Riche lip glosses at Walmart, and this is actually very similar to what I would wear. So just something like clear but shiny on my lips is basically how I would want it. And we're going to respect the 16-year-old self, and we're going to do it how I would have wanted it. So this is it. This is absolutely 100% how I would do my makeup. It's actually kind of scaring me a bit at how I was able to remember and recreate this. But yeah, silver and black, wing liner, clear lips, heavy foundation. That was the name of the game for me. Let's do a quick slayage scene really quick. Alright guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. It was obviously for pure entertainment reasons. I don't think you'll have any questions about the products I used or how I applied them because, let's just admit right now, looks a little choppy. Looks a little choppy. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see y'all in my next video. Bye.